Hi everyone, today we'll be talking about word problems. This is the last lesson we do for this unit before we take our test. Alright, so when we want to write a word problem, there's a few steps that we have to take. First, we need to define the variable, then we write our inequality, and then we can go through and solve, and then explain our answer. Alright, so first, let's go ahead and just read the problem. That should always be your very first step. Stephen has $500 in a savings account at the beginning of the summer. He wants to have at least $200 by the end of the summer. He withdraws $25 each week for personal expenses. How many weeks can Stephen withdraw money from his account? So first thing we need to do is define the variable. And that means that we figure out what is our unknown and we pick a variable to represent it. So when I read through the problem, I look for that question. How many weeks in this case? There's our unknown. How many weeks can he withdraw that money? All right, so we're going to pick a variable to represent the number of weeks. So I'm going to use W to represent the number of weeks. All right, now we can go ahead and we can write our inequality. I like to look for keywords that indicate the actual inequality symbol that we're going to use. And then I go from there. So he wants to have at least $200. Right? At least, that's a minimum. That's the minimum amount of money that he wants to have at the end of the summer in his bank account. So that means he could have more. Right? So that means we're looking at less than or equal to. Less than or equal to. So he can, greater than, sorry about that, greater than or equal to $200 in his account. All right, so now let's go and write the rest of it. He currently has $500 in his account. He's going to withdraw $25. So what does withdraw mean? That means take out. Right? I'm going to take away $25 each week. So that means I'm going to subtract. So I'm going to start with my $500, and then each week, here's my number of weeks. That keyword each means we're going to multiply. So 25 times the number of weeks. Right? I'm going to subtract that from that 500. So there's my 500 that you started with minus the $25 each week needs to be greater than or equal to $200. All right, so now let's go ahead and solve. All right, well, just like any other time, I'm going to draw my line through the inequality symbol. And I need to isolate my variable term. So I need to get rid of the 500, so I'm going to subtract 500 from both sides. Those cancel out. And I bring down my negative 25W. So watch out for that. That's a negative 25W that I'm going to bring down. And then 200 minus 500 is negative 300. Now I can go ahead and I can divide both sides by negative 25. And when I do that, those cancel out. And then negative 300 divided by 25 will give us 12. Remember, when we divide by a negative number, my inequality symbol has to flip around. So we get W is less than or equal to 12. All right, the explain really just means we're going to write our answer in a sentence. So I like to use the words that they've given us depending on the situation. All right. So Stephen has 12 or less weeks to withdraw money. All right. So the number of weeks has to be less than or equal to 12. He has 12 or less weeks to withdraw that money. All right, I want you to come down here and try this one on your own. Go ahead and pause the video now. Okay, and let's take a look at example 4. Write an inequality to represent the situation, then solve and graph the solution. Charlie has $30 to spend in a carnival. Admission costs $11 and each ride ticket costs $1.25. What is the maximum number of rides that Charlie can go on? All right, so here we go. First, let's define our variable. All right, so we need to pick a variable. All right, so what's our unknown? What is the maximum number of rides? So we need to pick a variable to represent the number of rides that Charlie can go on. So I'm going to say that my R equals the number of rides. So I defined my variable. Now we need to go ahead and write out our inequality. So admission costs $11, so no matter what, you're going to pay $11 when you get there. Then each ride ticket costs $1.25. There's that keyword each again. Right? Each means we're going to multiply. Each ride ticket costs $1.25. So that means I'm going to multiply that $1.25 times the number of rides. What is the maximum number of rides that Charlie can go on? Okay, maximum, that's the most. Right? He can do less than, but he can't do more than. So he can only spend a total of $30, so he can spend less, he cannot spend more. So when we go to write our inequality, we've got our $11 it costs to get in, plus the $1.25 for each ride has to be less than or equal to $30. He can't spend more than what he already has. All right, let's go ahead and solve. I'm going to subtract 11 from both sides. Well, that cancels that out. I always like to draw my little line there. All right, bring down what's left. And then finally I can divide both sides by that $1.25. When I do that, that cancels this out. And then we're left with R is less than or equal to 15.2. All right, well, we have a little problem here. We can't ride 0.2 rides. So our question becomes, do we round it up or do we round it down? Because it has to be less than or equal to 30, if we were to round this up to 16, then we would end up having too many rides. He wouldn't be able to afford that. So because it's less than, we have to round this down. No matter what that, even if it came out to 15.8, we'd have to round it down to just 15. Charlie can go on a maximum of 15 rides. And again, that's where I like pulling in that word that they use in the word problem, maximum. Okay? He can go on a maximum of 15 rides. He does not have enough to go on 16 rides. All right, let's go to the next page. You have one more problem. And this one's a try on your own. So you can, once you stop the video, please make sure you complete your try on your own, and I will see you in class next time.